Okay, we're going to begin. This is a re-recording of a story from 2001. We bought a lorry today. It's taken from It's a Rum Life, Book 4, Tales from Northcote, 1994 to 2008. We bought a lorry today. Tarina and John had been on at me for some time. When are we going to get something to pull that trailer? The trailer is not exactly a normal horse box. It's 20 feet long, 8 feet wide and 9 feet high. It must weigh over a ton. Previously, it was used to carry the wedding carriage and one horse. It will also take about 120 small bales of hay, about 3.5 tons. The trailer was basically all we had at the Northcote Heavy Horse Centre to cart anything about. It was being used only very locally at present, pulled by the centre's agricultural tractor. The long wheelbase Safari Land Rover that used to tow it had been previously converted. It had a 3-litre Ford Essex V6 petrol engine that did 28 miles per gallon running without the trailer, and 9 miles per gallon with the trailer and full load, but it would pull it, and in top gear too. The Land Rover had died of rustworm several years ago, and we just did not have any funds to replace it. Why a lorry? After a Land Rover and trailer hit the national headlines earlier this year, that's 2001, by running off the road near Doncaster and derailing an express train, killing a large number of passengers, we've been thinking again. A lorry was what we really needed, something with a large capacity engine and not expensive. I'd seen one advertised in the Farmer's Guardian, but it was in Lancashire. Foot and mouth disease was all over the West Country and North West at this time in 2001, but not in Lancashire. If we were going to do anything, it had to be quick. A week or so passed and I said nothing. Could you really afford £500? Friday arrived and John was day off. They both tackled me again, so I told them about this lorry. Within the hour, we had phoned and it was still there. We're all very democratic here at Northcote. The majority decision was go for it, if it's any good at all. We're off. We took the little red Subaru truck, and by 2 p.m. we had arrived at Garstang in Lancashire. By gummy, it is hilly up there. Right on the edge of the moors, almost on the way back into Yorkshire, we found the mill. The lorry had been used for local deliveries, but recently they had been encouraging farmers to collect food for themselves, more and more. It was a curtain sider, that is, a 16-foot body, but the cab was filthy, inside that is. The lorry ran well, a big 6-cylinder engine, and its maintenance record was up to date, despite not being taxed for 6 months. It was out of test too, but I suppose you can't have everything for £500. We did the deal, loaded the little red truck into the back of the curtain sider, closed the curtains and drove home, about 300 miles. We hadn't had time to tell my wife Ruth. She was the wage earner in our marriage. She was expecting me to be at home. And coward that I am, I asked John to phone her and explain that we had been delayed. Explanations. He explained it like this. John: we've been held up. Ruth: held up where? John: in Lancashire. You can imagine Ruth's tone. Lancashire? She choked. Where are you now? John: well, somewhere south of Fair Bridge on the A1. John was not one to let it all out at once. Ruth: what are you doing on the A1? John: well, Keith is driving a lorry. Ruth: a lorry? What on earth is he driving a lorry for? John: well, we've bought it. You can you can imagine the explosion at the other end. "What do you want a lorry for?" or words to that effect followed. John kindly finished with something like, "Keith will explain when we get home," before the phone at the other end was dropped rather loudly. The explanation was relatively easy after I had the rest of the journey to think about the problem. Well, you see, it began, John and Trina, and finished with something about the Land Rover wrecking the express train and us not wanting to do something similar. All seems to have ended well so far, as in March, Novartis at Immingham approached us to do a display at their summer celebrations in July and sent us a cheque for £400 in advance. In fact, it has been a further good thing, as we have been to 3 displays using the lorry and trailer and even managed to dislocate my shoulder at one of them in the process. There we are. I hope you enjoyed that little story, brought to you by Cracker Books, written and read by Keith Sanders. Now, because the story's about the lorry, I'm going to include 2 or 3 more pictures of the lorry after we bought it and what it got up to. And it was pretty useful to us, actually, over the years. It had to have a new engine at one time, and Steve helped us out with that too. He found us one for it. So here we are. There's a few pictures of the lorry. Here we are getting hay for the horses with the Centres trailer, unloading it with the Ford Major. That's before it went back to Andy and Steve's to have the cab welded, because the window was falling out with metal worm. There we are. It's come back and it's been repainted. Look, so we did several years good service. It was well worth buying. Now then, if you enjoy watching the stories that we produce on YouTube, perhaps you might think about giving us a like, if you like them, of course. And then if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, it doesn't cost anything. It just means that whenever we produce anything new, YouTube will let you know that it's coming up, so you can see it. Additionally, if you'd like to look at other things that Cracker Books are publishing, then this next panel shows you how to access them. The first link is to the bookcase, where there are 10 different books to download. They're all free to download. If you look on the bookcase, you can click on a book and it tells you all about it, and you can click it to download it whenever you wish. The second link is to our website. That's www.crackerbooks.fr. That's easy to remember, isn't it? So on there it tells you all about us and what we do and why. Okay, so thank you for being with us, and until next time, goodbye.